of folks within the college leadership has turned into something sufficiently concrete for us to talk about. So what we're going to do today is really present to you lots of ideas and then ask for some feedback, because one of the things I'm worried about most as an administrator is going off and doing something and then finding out it's completely out of left field from what really is the desire of students. So I'm anxious for your feedback. I'm anxious for you to tell us what about it might work, what about it might not be ideal for you, and what kind of major you are, and what you're hoping for this. I'm joined by a number of folks who are going to help me answer your questions because they know about every aspect of this college far more deeply than I do. Kathy Stacy is our Assistant Dean for Academic Initiatives, and she oversees all of the degrees in the college, and has led to the construction of most of them. Mike Brady is our Assistant Dean for Advising and Orientation, so it works with all of the college advisors, and will be involved in implementing our academic advisors knowing how to talk about this degree and where it applies. Ruth Ranks is our Director of the Career Center, and is very connected with our business community here in town and abroad, and can talk about where employers see things going in terms of degrees and training. And Leslie Riley is our Director of the Health Professions Office, and can speak more deeply about where medical schools want to see undergraduate education go. So with that, I want to kind of just tell you a little bit about the proposal, and then I'll turn it over for questions, okay? So what I like to do is tell you a little bit about the origin of this, okay? So I call this the Tale of Two Students, because really, it's a couple of conversations that I think really started this whole idea down the road. And I want to tell you about each of them. One was the Dean Scholar. And she ultimately decided to leave the Dean Scholars Program because as a really elite student and a really engaged person and had a lot of interests. And so while she was interested in neuro something or another, she also was really interested in classics and never wanted to give up that opportunity to study very broadly as an undergraduate a lot of different things. And she decided, even though the Dean Scholars Bachelor of Science degrees are pretty flexible, they do have more electives than a lot of our other Bachelor of Science degrees, it wasn't quite what she wanted. She didn't want to do all science all the time. And so she left and went to the College of Liberal Arts. She can still do all the coursework necessary to go on to medical school because she has a lot of flexibility in their degrees, and she can then do the classics that she really was wanting to do. So that was one story that kind of has stuck with me over the last several months as we've been on this journey. The other story has to do with a young physics major who came to me in her senior year and said, I'm not really sure I want to go to graduate school. I'm thinking about getting a second major. Okay? And so why is that? Well, she wants to go into business, and in particular, her father has, I believe it was an engineering company, and had a lot of interest in going and using that technical skill she built up as a physics major in industry. And that's great because that's what most people do with their undergraduate degree. They try to use it in some way. And maybe make more money than us pointy-headed academics, which, honestly, well, we all come to you eventually as alumni for donations, so we know they're making money around it. But what she found out is, she wasn't necessarily trained with her Bachelor of Science degree to get all that experience, and then she became more and more aware of other really cool things at the university, like the Business Foundation certificate. And then she found herself in the situation of having to stay on some extra time in order to complete that certificate because her Bachelor of Science degree pretty much had her programmed out through senior year. So those are the kind of conversations that sort of stuck with me, because where those two students came to want to be is they wanted some ability to do another thing. They loved their science and math, but they had a desire to do another interdisciplinary thing that would maybe use science and math in some way that old academics don't necessarily think about. So that's where this started. There's a class I got to teach last fall. It was a lot of fun. We were completely inexperienced at it, but it was for careers. It was for freshmen. And having had these conversations with these two students I was just telling you about, I went into this class, there's a couple hundred people, and asked them a few questions. I asked, what is it that you thought about when you were in high school and you were daydreaming about how you were going to get out of high school and go to college someday? What did you really dream college was going to be that was different? And the number one answer that folks came back with is college was going to be different because it was going to be less prescriptive than high school. High school's all about do this, and this, and then take the tax test, and then get into college and the SAT and all that. College was going to be about exploration. That was a word that stuck with me. Then I asked, as freshmen, these are folks who've been here for a few months, you've now seen the university, what is it you see going on at UT? And they said, there are lots of cool things happening at UT. There's this Ransom Center, there are these certificates, I can take an anthropology course, I can take all kinds of neat stuff, and there's a lot of opportunity at the University of Texas. And so that sounded pretty cool. This was a careers course, and there were alumni that were coming in to visit this careers course, and they were talking about how they used their undergraduate degree. I asked them, what is it you saw from the alumni or heard from the alumni as really important? And they said, well, the alumni were telling us that it's really important to gather in a lot of experiences as an undergraduate because you never know what you'll end up using. Or said another way, chances are you'll be really creative with the set of experiences you gather as an undergraduate and take it on a completely different career track than anyone's ever done before. So if you can marry anthropology and computer science, you probably will. If you can marry mathematics and linguistics, you probably will. And that was something that all of the alumni spoke to very heavily, that they had managed to do these disparate things that purely out of curiosity, but somehow they were able to turn that into a career. Then I asked, what was it that they were most disappointed by at the University of Texas? And they said, well, it's about as prescriptive as high school was, because all of our degrees have a lot of coursework laid out. And that's done in good faith. The faculty have taught their subject. They've graduated through undergraduate degrees. They've thought about all the courses that made them successful for what they do. But that only responds to a certain segment of what it is that you all have for career aspirations. And so that led to an idea of creating a somewhat more interdisciplinary degree, a degree that would have more opportunity for you to have one foot in another college, another field of study, along with your core math and science. So let me show you what that's going to shape up with. So I think of this as a degree in 3 parts. It's meant to be somewhat like our Bachelor of Science degrees. You get a core math and science. It's somewhat like Bachelor of Arts degrees, and then you get to be interdisciplinary, and so we're calling it the Bachelor of Science and Arts. It has 3 pieces to it. There is a core. The state of Texas legislature has told us that you will take government and history and English and whatever the other ones, I forget. But thou shalt do this, so we will go do this. We don't get to change that. There's a certain part of the degree that's the science and math that you came here to study as a University of Texas major. And so we blocked out 48 hours. And for some of our departments, it was kind of a challenge to come down to a block of science and math courses that was only going to be 48 hours. And then we left a substantial part of the degree that was to be more interdisciplinary, the arts part of the Bachelor of Science and Arts. And it has 2 pieces to it. One would be a true minor, an opportunity for a student to go off and either complete one of those certificate programs that are available on campus, or take 18 hours in a field of study, or 15 in a field of study that would be a minor of your choosing. It could be that classics degree that Dean Scholars was really interested in, or it could be the Business Foundation certificate, you name it. And then electives. But some of the electives are really outside the college because we're trying to get students to be interested in something that's interdisciplinary. So that's it in a nutshell. That was the idea that came about. It's been something that's been kicked around within our departments here at the college. And again, this is what we're having a conversation about. Imagine what the choices are. The choices are to get a BSA in biology and then a minor in psychology because you assemble 18 hours in psychology. Or imagine that you would like to do a BSA in chemistry and then complete a minor through the Business Foundation certificate and take a set of courses recommended by them. This is really just you do a matching game that matches your own personal interests. There are a number of certificate programs already on campus. There's the Business Foundations, there's the Bridging Disciplines. There's also a program at our college called the University Fellows. You put together a proposal of 4 or 5 courses, I forget the number, 4, 5, thank you. Courses that you think makes a good field of study, write a capstone thesis project, and that's a minor. And that University Fellows program is not used by a whole lot of students in our college right now because guess what? We don't have any time. But it's a really good program, and our graduation speaker just last December was Sammy Friedrich. She did a minor in consciousness studies, and she felt like that would be a good program to do along with her undergraduate neurobiology major. All these things are possible matches. There are some certificates that have come about as ideas as a result of these conversations about generating more minors. And so some of them with asterisks there don't actually exist now, but there are conversations about how can we create them in the next few months. One like science communications or forensics or pre-health professions, because there is so much of a shift now in medical school admissions toward more sociology, more psychology, more human behavior. Can we make a pre-health profession certificate that would emphasize those kinds of studies? But international science, those kinds of things are all ideas being talked about. And then, of course, there's the set of majors in liberal arts that could become your minor. You could do BSA biology and minor in psychology, that kind of thing. So there's not really meant to be a prescription, thou shalt do this with this. It's meant to be, you choose what is the minor that best represents the career path that you're on. Okay? That's the idea. Our intention is that this Bachelor of Science and Arts degree would replace the BAs that currently exist in the College of Natural Sciences. The BA is something we currently share with the College of Liberal Arts as a somewhat historical thing because we were once all one college. We're bigger than they are now, so we don't share anymore. So our idea is to drop the BA of the degrees that currently exist, offer this instead. BAs will still be available through the College of Liberal Arts in everything from anthropology to government to you name it. But our degrees would be called the Bachelor of Science and Arts in recognition of the fact that when we talk about our students having one foot in another college, it's really an interdisciplinary experience, a marriage of two very different things. And to the good, hopefully, everybody. There are some differences then between what our BA is and our liberal arts friends' BA will be, and the BSA that's proposed. One is that the minor would be a transcriptable minor, truly something that shows up. The other is that the certificates or other programs that you would choose to study would fit within the 120 hours that you pursue for your undergraduate degree. It's not an add-on, and that's very important to me because, when you think back to those conversations with freshmen when they said what were they most disappointed about, they couldn't take advantage of those neat programs on the campus of the university. So I want it to be able to fit. The other is that I want this opportunity to have one foot in another college to be more flexible. If I imagine some Venn diagram of the current BA, I can have one foot in the College of Liberal Arts, but I want to expand this. I want this to be, you can have one foot in other colleges too, be it communications or business or whatever degree, whatever certificate or interdisciplinary study programs are available, I want you to have that be available as part of this degree. It's not just with liberal arts that this sharing will take place. The other is that for the first time we could maybe have a degree shell, and this is thanks to Captain Stacy, that's actually simple to follow. So you can thank Dean Stacy for that one. Our degrees are somewhat complicated to understand, and we're trying to create from ground up something that's a little bit simpler to put together. I think that's the central thing. Oh no, we have one more feature of this. The other is that there would be an honors option to this degree that if you fill in some of the electives as part of this through one of our programs like Health Science Honors or University Fellows, you could complete an honors degree. That it would be finished out with a capstone thesis project, this interdisciplinary minor, and that would constitute honors. Yeah, that's right. I have lots of other things, but let me just cut this short because I wanted to basically turn this back to you. A lot of the feedback we've had is that students need an opportunity to do some exploration without the fear of falling behind, that exploration actually counts for the degree itself, and that students actually want something that's a minor that shows up, that you get rewarded in some way and say to a future employer, I have a certificate in scientific computation, or I have a certificate in business foundations, I have something that's useful to you, dear employer, besides just my chemistry degree. The other thing is that this could be a little bit more interdisciplinary than our current BAs, and you still have choices. There's still going to be a Bachelor of Science degree. You can still pursue the highly technical degrees in computer science or physics or whatever, because you might decide the employers you're looking for really want all computer science all the time, and that'd be fine too. But you have a choice, and so that hopefully you will see this as a fork in the road. Now I get to walk along, I get to be either one, and at a certain point I get more clear on my career choices and I go down one path or another. This is still a proposal, and to make a proposal a really good proposal, it means getting lots of student feedback from folks like you. Want to recognize Schoolhouse Rock? Yeah, this is just a bill, so to speak, right? But our process here at the university is only just a little bit less Byzantine than some of our degrees. We go through, at the department level, a proposal process where the departments think about whether they would want to buy into this degree. At the college level, we then vote as a college, do we want to pursue this and drop the old BA? And then at the university level, we take it to a university-wide curriculum committee, and then on to faculty council, and then final step is we go to the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. So there's quite a number of steps. But where we're at today is that the departments have sort of thought through what would make a strong BSA degree, a sort of 48-hour block within their majors. The college has sort of vetted that there are enough opportunities out there that make sense for an interdisciplinary study, and we would support it. And before we take it up and go on to the university-wide type committees, we would want to have it really fully endorsed by students in the college. We did a number of focus groups among students in the college. A lot of you were kind enough to respond to emails asking for you to participate. We got lots of interviews with students from all different majors, and we heard from those who were in favor, those who thought, no, I think the BS degree is still for me. But now I'm really looking in this forum to have a discussion about what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, or what concerns you about such a degree plan. So I'm going to stop it there. I had other things I could show, but I think it makes sense better for you to throw out lots of questions. Yeah.
So if you're considering getting rid of the BA, what happens to students that are dual majoring?
Oh, so two things. So if you have a BA, let's say in psychology, that you're currently pursuing, this will still fit. The university is in parallel working on expanding what's called the 24-hour rule. So BAs, as I understand it, I'm going to turn it back to me because I know I get this right. BAs have the advantage of you get to do a BA in psychology, BA in neurobiology, something like that.
You can do one BA with a double major.
Okay, thank you. But if we do away with the 24-hour rule, this would become a little bit easier to manage.
Well, then you could do a BA and a BS and not have to have 150 hours to graduate. You would just need the number of hours that would be required, which would be a lot less.
Correct.
But if you're doing a BA right now, you still can. If this goes away, it won't go away until 2014. So anybody currently doing a BA degree will still be able to finish.
Thank you, that's a good point. So we operate on a 2-year catalog cycle. You can graduate under any catalog that was active during the time you're here. You can choose to stay with the degree plan that you're on. You can choose to switch to the new degree plan when it becomes active. Thank you.
I saw with lots of the suggested minors, lots of liberal arts focused. I know lots of those liberal arts departments have been strong with budget cuts. So just wondering, if this gets to be popular, we have a bunch of natural science students going in. Do you think liberal arts will have any problems accommodating us?
No, because it's actually going to be less. Even though you're going from a BA to a BSA, for one thing, and we think this will be a big selling point, the BSA does not require foreign language.
That's right. So let's talk about the electives.
Right.
The BSA requires a certain number of elective hours outside the college. I believe Dr. Stacy correct me, but I think the construction is choose 2 out of 4 areas of humanities, social science, foreign language, and fine arts. Is that right? So it doesn't have to be a foreign language as it's currently through the BA.
4 courses across 2 of those areas. So if you elect not to pursue foreign language, that's your choice.
Okay, yeah.
So if I do want to pursue this degree when it comes back to it, how will I go about
We're going to be training, as soon as we know that it's likely this is going to happen, we're going to communicate with all of our students in the college and let them know this is a new opportunity. Before we do that, we will train all the advisors on the new degree. So students will have the opportunity to come in and talk to an advisor about, I want to do this, what should I take next year? And we'll be able to. The good thing about this is it doesn't require any new courses. It just requires changing the requirements. So you will be able to change over to one of these new degrees seamlessly, and with advising, we can help you pick the right courses.
So would we know in time for advising for the fall, or would we have to wait?
No, that starts in 2 weeks. Or some of you probably have already been advised. But as soon as you can go ahead and be advised and register, and then late spring, summer, early fall, go in and see your advisor about the new options and make changes if you need to.
I would guess that over the course of the summer is when we would be able to tell you that the new year is going to happen. So you would be able to start picking your spring courses in accordance with that. Yeah.
So for registering for these liberal arts courses, what would you be prioritizing in registration versus something that is someone that's in the college?
You know, I can't answer that, but I can tell you that the push for transcriptable minors is happening university-wide. So, you know, this idea is also really echoed very strongly in one of the Senate and College Council's resolutions to have transcriptable minors. And we've worked a lot with Vice Provost Gretchen Ritter, who oversees undergraduate education for the university. She wants to see this as a university-wide initiative, that all departments would identify what their minor is. Right now, we're just telling you to take 18 hours. So that's not as ideal as getting the 18 hours that a government department would play. If that's the case, then I think you'd be prioritized as you're the minor in that field, and that has some advantage very well.
But we have had some conversations, like right now in the College of Communication, you can't take their upper division courses unless you're in their college. We've talked with them about the scientific communication specialization, and they are willing to let students who are in our college, who are in that specialization, take their upper division courses. There's going to have to be some flexibility. If you do business, we'll just do the current business foundation certificate, and those courses will be available to you in the future like they are now.
Yeah.
So this is for like liberal arts, making art and science, but is there any consideration for a science student to do a minor in another science plan?
You know, that's a really good question, and I was really surprised by the enthusiasm with which our faculty approached this whole project. I thought that they were going to be really hesitant to kind of bring it down to a 48-hour chunk and then call that the major. But in reality, now they're asking, why is it we wouldn't do minors within the college so you can have a major in physics and a minor in chemistry? You know, you make your own pairings again. So I see that as the next step. That would be phase 2 of what we might do with our Bachelor of Science degrees. And maybe you want to comment about this, but we didn't envision that it was going to be that quick.
So currently, the BSA is written that your minor must be taken outside of natural sciences, geosciences, or engineering. And that's likely to be the case, as Dr. Kopp said, going through this first phase, and it may be expanded when those minors become available.
But it's also possible with some good planning, if you're a biology major and the 48-hour core includes some chemistry, you also have the electives that you have to take. Is it 24 electives and 12 have to be out of the college?
Right.
So 12 of the 24 can be in the college. So those are biochem and other chemistry courses. You can have your BSA with your major, your concentration, and then using 12 of your 24 hours of electives, another equivalent minor in something in science.
The departments are working on certificate proposals as well. We received one for actuarial science. We already have one for statistics. There's a biotechnology proposal, so there will be certificates that are heavily science-based that will be available to anybody pursuing this degree. But they will tend to be a little bit interdisciplinary, so it won't be just biology courses for
How does this work for the students applying to med school or graduate school?
It's actually perfect. No, it is. I'm going to say one thing, and then Leslie should chime in, especially since she's the Director of Health Professions. But there's so many misconceptions about what you're supposed to do to go to medical school, and there is no supposed to do. You can major in whatever you want to. The acceptance rate into medical schools from all majors at UT is the same, basically. You don't have an advantage if you get a BS in biology.